When you're working as a freelancer and a creative, it's important just to have systems to make things easier. That's what we're going to get into in this episode of Freelance Jumpstart TV. So first, a story. I went to a friend's house just to talk, hang out, and catch up. And I noticed, that on their screen they had a spreadsheet open. And I looked at the spreadsheet and I asked them, "Hey, what's this?" And they mentioned, "This is how I keep track of all of my finances and who owes what and this, that, or the other." And I had to admit I could relate to them. The fact that they're using Excel, it's pretty simple. If you already know how to use it, you just put numbers in a certain row in a certain column and you label them, you add it up, you just keep track over time. Since my friend was using this, I was using this, I know there are other freelancers and creatives out there who may be using Excel to keep track of their finances, and I'm going to comment on why that's not the best thing. The thing with using Excel or Google Sheets or something like that to keep track of finances, nothing's wrong with it, but overall you have to be very disciplined and very consistent if you want to make sure to maintain it, keep it in track, and also make sure it's updated and has the most relevant information, especially the information about what a client has paid you, what a client owes, and many other things that have to do with collecting finances. Early in the life of my business, I used Excel because it was free, right? I didn't want to have to pay any money when I was barely getting clients. But things have changed, so there are so many systems in place and software as a service platforms and many different other free software that is out there that can help you stay organized and that can also keep you up to date about where your goals are throughout the year. So let's cover a couple of invoicing systems that let you do two things. One, send an invoice out to help you get paid, and number two, they also help you keep track of where you are with your finances, who paid and who didn't, and what money you're owed. In an earlier video, I talked about the difference between an invoice and a contract or a client agreement. An invoice is what you send out to customers or clients to remind them of a commitment they've already made prior in a client agreement. In a client agreement, you outline the payment terms, if there's some type of payment plan, the amount, what happens if they pay on time, what happens if they pay if they're late, and you just get more specific to the details surrounding payment. At the end of the client agreement, they would sign that, and in the future, you'd send them an invoice whenever payment is due. The type of things you would want to see and find in an invoicing system is number one, do you have the ability to create an online invoice? Do you have the ability to give an invoice in a system that allows you to have a number attached to it, and that specific number is assigned to a client? Do you have the ability to generate invoices and keep track of what invoice applies to what specific client? It's important to have this feature because you want to see and build up a history of who are the types of people that pay on a regular basis versus who are the types of people who take longer to pay or don't pay as quickly or maybe not pay at all. You want that association in an invoicing system. Another feature of a system you would like is the ability to categorize different things that you're invoicing for. So for example, if you're invoicing for a particular product or service that you offer, you need to have the ability to categorize that and place that in a specific category as it pertains to your business. If everything is just labeled sales, then you need the ability to write a note, write a comment, or just detail out what that actual sale was for. But the best thing is if you can categorize it so that in the future you can easily sort and see what did that apply to and what is bringing the most amount of money to your business. Another feature which should really be a no-brainer is, do you have the ability to accept payments online? So do you have the ability to send an invoice to someone and they can click a link or go to a specific website tailored to them, and then they can just enter their information and take care of the very same invoice or make a payment towards that invoice and it's confirmed? Does the system have the ability to do that? As a follow-up to that, does the system have the ability to track your expenses? In other words, can you put in what you're spending money on your business, whether it be you're buying new software, you're buying new equipment, whether it's something that you had to buy specifically for a client? Do you have the ability to add that to the system and categorize that as well? Those are the things you need in an invoicing system. You don't want to take the time or spend the time investing in trying to keep track of everything. You as a creative, you as a freelancer, you want to spend your time creating and doing those things that make you money, not being hung up on, how much money did I make last month and trying to calculate it. Wherever you can in your business, make things easier. And for those things that are more delicate, take more time, take more of an investment, okay, use that and grow your skills. But for those things that are taking up your time that don't directly generate money, make it easier. Here are some tools online that make that whole process easier. A good tool out there is FreshBooks. FreshBooks is not necessarily free. However, it is very good for keeping track of your expenses as well as invoicing people, as well as another way to track some other things also. So FreshBooks is out there, and if you're not using it, you may want to consider it because, as I mentioned, you want to be able to invoice people, but you also want to be able to categorize your expenses. They have a great feature, which is if you use a debit card, anything you spend a debit card on, FreshBooks has a good system that will help you categorize and organize certain things as it pertains to what you're spending money on. So eventually you want to get to the point to where whether income is coming in or you're spending money, whatever that may be, is keeping track of it for you. A free tool that you can use is something called Wave Accounting. I've been using Wave Accounting for some time, and it has grown and just gotten better over time. So with Wave Accounting, you can do a couple of things. You can enter in all income that comes through your business. You can enter what the expenses are. You can also have the ability to see financial reports such as cash flow and statement of income and different things of that nature. You can even export out different documents you need when it's time to file taxes. So Wave Accounting, honestly, it's free. If you still want to juggle Excel sheets, be my guest, but why not try a free alternative? Another alternative you need to try is Nutcash or Nutcash, however you pronounce it. Either way, you need to check it out. That's a good tool, and they have different levels of plans, but they also have a free plan, so definitely sign up and try it out and see how it is. The whole goal of getting a system, no matter what it is to make things easier for you to keep track and organize in your business. Because if you do not keep track, some bad things can happen. Let's say it's time to do taxes, right? And you need to see an accountant and they just want to know, what did you spend money on and what were you paid and what are the categories? If you're still working to update your Excel sheet and you don't have a record of who paid what or receipts for this, that, and the other, it can just be confusing and take up more time than it has to. Nobody likes to take time to do taxes except for tax professionals. So you as a creative, why do you want to be a photographer / tax preparer? Or why do you want to be a web designer / tax preparer? Take some of that effort out and get a system to streamline things. The benefit of using the system and staying organized is if you ever were audited by the government or IRS or whoever, if they ever were to audit you, you have a place you can go to show all records of your income. Here's an example to illustrate that last point I just gave. I remember 3 years ago, I was trying to buy a car. I went out to buy a car. They said, hey, everything looks good. You have a decent credit score, but we need some proof of income. Like, what do you make? And I said, hey man, I make enough money. I mean, I don't know why we're having this conversation. I already have the money to pay down. Let me just buy the car. But for whatever reason, they weren't 100% sure as far as that goes. So I was able to literally log in an invoicing system, export out what I made the previous year and say, is this enough? And then after that, they didn't bother me and I just walked out. This is not about a particular invoicing system, or this is not really a sales pitch of any kind. Really, what I'm just explaining and wanting you to get from this video is take the time to get organized. Don't be lazy surrounding your finances. Don't be lazy around your invoicing. Another reason why people may not be paying you on time or paying you late is because you're not organized. So take the time to get organized, get an invoicing system where you can add some branding to it, add your logo to it, and just come off as professional, because people respect professionalism and it makes them rise up to the occasion when they see a true professional. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. I greatly appreciate it. If I said anything in this video that resonates with you, give this video a thumbs up. If you're listening on the podcast, leave me a review. I definitely read all those reviews and I use them to make the show better. And if you want to see more content, reviews and giving me feedback is a great way to keep the ball going and keep me excited so I can make more content for you. Thanks again, and I will check you in the next one. See ya.